So I've learned a new term over the last week or so that keeps popping up everywhere that I had not heard before, and that is palace intrigue, which is a situation in which powerful forces within a company or corporate environment are against each other. They're fighting. They're beefing within the company. That is palace intrigue, and I've heard this a bajillion times this week as the whole Vince McMahon hostile takeover, taking back over WWE, pushing himself back onto the board, removing people off the board, rewriting the bylaws that give him the permission to do whatever the fuck he wants, essentially. And with all of that, Stephanie McMahon saying, "Deuces, I'm out of here." Now, I covered this in an exclusive clip to YouTube earlier in the week, not part of the podcast, where Stephanie McMahon resigned from WWE earlier in the week. And that was just part of the crazy news from last week, right? The Saudis and everything else. It was just a nutty week. This whole thing is nutty. But with Stephanie resigning from the WWE, it, even though her resignation letter was all flowers and roses, and, now that the WWE has a great team in place, that they're in good hands, I'm going to go ahead and just resume my leave and take it one step further and peace out, and be a fan and just cheer them on from the other side. She tried to paint a good picture, but clearly there's more to this story than meets the eye. More than meets the eye, right? That was horrible. Stephanie McMahon leaving that soon after Vince pushed his way in has given way to lots of rumors that there's some palace intrigue going on here, as defined earlier on here. And I'm not the only one talking about this shit. I actually have a clip here from Wade Keller from the Wade Keller Pro Wrestling Podcast. Him and Rich Fann as his co-host, speculating on the inner turmoil with the McMahons. Check out this clip.
Because as much as he wants to take this, as much as he wants to take over the company, he needs a buyer, if there is going to be such a stupid person, in my opinion, that needs to install him as the furniture that comes with the property. Otherwise, with his voting block, he won't sell. And then at that point, I've seen reports, Fightful, Variety, some other places about if he doesn't sell. Brandon Thurston from Post and WrestleNomics mentioned, if there isn't a buyer out there that's willing to install Vince McMahon, is there a sale to be had, given his voting power?
Yeah.
And that's a very scary thing to think about.
Yeah, I think we have learned that Vince wants ultimate power, and he will have written in, the fear is he'll have written into any deal that he is going to be in charge. He's going to be the chairman, as his TV character plays, and that will continue to be the case. This, if Vince McMahon remains healthy and coherent, he's going to be running WWE. That's what this says, barring whatever might be going on behind the scenes as some sort of counter move to this. And if there's a card to be played, what are the risks of that card being played, especially if it doesn't work? If the odds are good it works, and I don't know what that counterplay is, but it's alluded to as something that could change this. And it doesn't mean it happens immediately, but that said, Stephanie's resignation happened quicker than the people that I was talking to expected if it was going to happen, which was a distinct possibility. This is sooner. So this goes back to what I said. If Stephanie wanted to create the sense that everything is good as her message on Twitter indicates, what a great day for WWE. I'll cheer him on from afar. But I'm resigning. Not just taking a leave. I'm resigning. But go get him, Dad.
Yeah, this whole thing doesn't sit right. That's the first thing I said when Stephanie resigned, is there's more to this story than what we're hearing or seeing. Stephanie, yes, she took her leave earlier last year. And then there was those leaks going out to the different news sites that Stephanie was bad at her job, that she wasn't doing a great job. And apparently her role was acquiring sponsorship deals and that kind of thing. And she just wasn't doing a great job of it, or at least that's what the leaks were saying. And then she was taking a leave. And it seemed like there were some issues going on even back then. But then, of course, just a couple weeks or maybe a month later, we heard all the dirt come out about Vince McMahon and all his accusations and that kind of thing. And this was something that the board was privy to prior to the public being privy to. Of course, Stephanie McMahon was on the board at the time, knew full well what was coming down the pipe about Vince McMahon, and in my opinion was just washing her hands of it, or highly outspoken about the situation to begin with. And maybe her, being outspoken wasn't taken too kindly to, and this is why they kind of try to bury her to the various news sites that they did. And why she took her leave, why she was leaving the company at that time. Then when Vince had to step down, Stephanie was still on the board. And I think at that point, the idea was that we need a McMahon in charge. Nick Khan. There's too many Khans in pro wrestling, right? The Great O'Khan, Tony Khan, Nick Khan. Jesus Christ. Nick Khan is perfectly capable of running the WWE from the corporate side, and Hunter's perfectly capable of running the creative side of things. So Stephanie is really only there to be a McMahon. And of course, she's been around the block. She's been with the company since she was a little girl modeling t-shirts. So she knows a thing or two, but really it could have functioned without her. But I think she came back and was co-CEO and chairman of the board because she's a McMahon. And that's going to make the stockholders nice and comfortable that we still have a McMahon in charge. They want to hear that name, McMahon. The name on the contract reads McMahon, but not Vince McMahon. Yeah. So I believed that to be the case. And look, maybe, Stephanie it wasn't I'm coming back part-time or whatever until we can fill this position. I do think I think it was more of a matter of Stephanie and Vince could not coexist anymore. And this is being backed up. Wade Keller said it in this podcast. He was talking about that he has heard things. He didn't elaborate or go into any further real detail other than that this didn't sit well with Stephanie, and that Stephanie was not on board with this whole Vince McMahon thing. And now we're hearing that Stephanie and Triple H were kind of united against Vince McMahon in this whole situation. And this checks out, because if you remember, before Vince bullied his way back into the company, he sent his letter of intent to return, and this was probably after he caught wind that J.P. Morgan Chase had been hired to sell the company. And Vince was like, well, God damn it, you're not going to sell it without me. So he wanted to push his way back in. And it was unanimous by the board that they did not want Vince back. It was not a good idea at this time to have Vince McMahon back in the company. This was a unanimous vote by the board. Now, certainly, when you're voting on the board, you can abstain from a vote. And I don't know if the numbers were released. If they were, I didn't look that deep into it to know, who all voted necessarily. But the vote was unanimous. So of those who voted, you got to imagine everybody voted, right? So this included this included Stephanie, this included Triple H, and this included Nick Khan, who's also been rumored to be on the side of Stephanie and Triple H against Vince. Everybody had thought right from the beginning. There's even memes out there of Nick Khan with his the gauntlet, the Infinity Gauntlet, collecting stones, and they're different McMahons and just people on the when Shane left, and then Steph, and then Hunter was gone for a while, and then he added the Vince stone. lots of rumors that it was that, Nick Khan was secretly puppeteering behind the scenes to try to weasel his way into the top spot of the WWE, which, surprise, he's there. He's the CEO, the full CEO. So mission accomplished. However, Vince, being the chairman of the board, does have the power to remove Nick Khan at any point in time. Vince, as the chairman of the board, has ultimate power. The board can, there's nothing. He was able to bully himself back into the company. He can fire Nick Khan if he wants. He can take back over creative if he wants. He can fire Triple H. He can do any goddamn thing he wants as the chairman of the board. So, it's a unique situation. But, lots of rumors that these factions were fighting against each other. And now it's Vince coming back in with Barrios and Williams, the two people that he had fired previously from the board. He's brought them back in, and they were active parts of the company. They weren't passively on the board just to vote heads up or thumbs down or whatever. These were people that were taking on roles within the company. I believe Michelle Wilson was the one that had been doing a lot of the shopping of the sponsorships and that kind of thing that Stephanie had taken over for, that she wasn't doing a good job of, or at least was noted publicly. So with them back in charge, it's kind of us against them in this whole big power play. Nick Khan is the guy that has the most to gain out of this whole mess, in my opinion. He's going to make $1 bajillion out of this deal. And then he's going to ride off into the sunset with on his resume being the guy that presided over a sale of WWE as the CEO. Add that feather to his cap along with all the other $1 billion deals he put together. And this guy is going to be able to walk into any company anywhere in the entertainment business and immediately get a high-profile multi-million-dollar, billion-dollar job. He's the man. Nick Khan's the man. He's going to make out like a bandit. But you got to imagine then, if they were all united unanimously against Vince coming back, and then Vince bullied his way back into the position, this is why Stephanie left. And you have to imagine that her husband, Triple H, isn't going to be like, well, Steph, I think Vince coming back is a good, you know what I mean? He's going to stand by his woman. Those two, they lay in bed together at night. They eat dinner together at night. They sit and they talk. They're the best friends. You know what I mean? Like, they've been together so long. They're a power couple onto themselves. They're united in this. There's no way that Triple H is in favor of all this mess while Stephanie is not. And that's why I think Triple H is the next to go. I don't know that Vince is going to let him go, or if he's just going to up and quit, resign. I think that very well could be, because as soon as Vince starts meddling in creative, that's going to have to be the last straw for Triple H. They don't need the goddamn money. They can go do other stuff. I think we're going to see Triple H leave before the end of the year. That's my prediction. I could be wrong. But certainly there's enough here to dig your fangs into, that there's some palace intrigue going on here, that it is not all rosy in the McMahon family. I bet Christmas dinner was very awkward. This is a situation that's ongoing, but at this point we have Stephanie resigning immediately after Vince coming back, moved out of her position as chairwoman, and Triple H probably going to be not far behind her. That's my guess, as WWE continues to move forward in its attempt to sell this year. But what do you think? What are your thoughts? Is this all just rumor and innuendo? Is everything just fine behind the scenes? Does Stephanie just want to take a leave of absence? I was going to leave before, and now everything's all okie dokie, and they don't need me anymore, so I'm just going to go be a mom now. Or is this more of a, fuck you, Dad, I don't want you around. Go away. Go retire. I'm going to put you in a retirement home the first chance I get. That'd be funny, too. Just fucking when Vince gets all crazy and senile, just lock him in a fucking old folks home. Throw away the key. Go away, Dad. This has got to be endlessly frustrating for Steph. I really like Steph, too. You know, by all accounts, she's very well liked. She definitely has the authority. She's not afraid to put her foot down. She has that Vince in her, but she's more compassionate, more kind, more caring, more open to people's family situations, more sensitive to the women, obviously, for, you know, a number of reasons. And that could be another reason why she's against Vince, too. You know, as a woman, you're hearing all this stuff about your dad. Why do you want that shit around, you know? And this is scaring a lot of the employees, too, not just the rosters, but also just the people that work for the company. Everything's in turmoil. Nobody knows what's going to happen next. You know, Stephanie just did that meeting with the all-employees meeting saying nothing's going to change and then fucking resigned 2 days later. So and now Triple H apparently had a meeting with the roster at SmackDown, said everything's fine, nothing's gonna change. Yeah. We've heard that story before. Just last week we heard that story before. So nobody believes it. Everybody's on edge. Everything's up in the air. It's fucking chaos in wrestling, and I am here for it. But let me know what you think down in the comments below, and I'm gonna go ahead and move on to the next.
Oh yeah, thanks for checking out the video. Yeah, don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to like it if you liked it. Yeah, and you can check out full episodes each and every Sunday right here on the channel. Oh yeah, dig it.